Welcome, everybody, to Geeking Poetic Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Larry Roberts. Down the red table from me is none other than
Vito.
And then this fuzzy Ewok in the middle here. She's got a warm and cozy top on.
Yeah, it's
Does look
snowing like
warm and
crazy
cozy.
outside, so I'm staying warm.
Yeah, it is snowing real bad tonight. But we have none other than...
Megan Guess.
And we're here for something kind of special. Kind of.
It is special. We are special.
Well, you're special, all right. Yeah, you are so special. We're here to do another one of our top 5 things. We've done this since the very beginning. We like to count down top 5 favorite, whatever, Harrison Ford movies or aliens and things like that. But we decided for 2021 because getting out of 2020. Man, oh man, that just left us reeling here. So we thought we're going into our 3rd year. We're leading up to our 3rd anniversary in May. So we thought, what could we do that was special? So we said, let's, instead of doing a top 5, let's do a top 20. Now, before people start panicking and going, oh my God, we got to sit there through these fuckers talking about 20 movies. No. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about our top 20 all-time favorite movies. Not any specific genre, because usually we do some kind of particular topic, like sci-fi or whatever, aliens, like you said. Mm-hmm. No, this is just anything goes. This is just our top 20 favorite movies, our go-tos, the ones that made the biggest impact on us. But what we're going to do is we're breaking it up into 4 episodes. So this month you're going to get numbers 20 through 16. Next month we'll follow it up with 15 through 11, so on and so forth till we get to number 1. And by the time we get to number 1, it should be time for our anniversary. Mm-hmm. Now what we're going to do for that, it's a big secret. You know why it's a big secret?
We don't know yet.
Because we have no idea.
Maybe you guys can start thinking about it now. And let us know what you want from us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We won't do it, but just let us know.
No, seriously, if you do have suggestions, man, we're always open to hearing them because who knows? It could be good, could suck. We'll figure that out later. So, yeah, I mean, here's the thing about this. Normally we confer with each other a little bit before we do our top 5 stuff and everything, but this time we really haven't.
I have no idea what you guys did.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
I'm scared for Vito's.
I'm kind of scared. I'm not going to say scared. I'm interested.
I'm scared.
How did you guys feel about putting this list together? Was it easy? Was it really hard? What was the story?
It seemed at the time to be pretty simple. I was like, I know 20 movies that are probably my favorites. But then I dug through all the movies I have and thought of, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't as easy as I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. Then having to put them in order was very difficult.
Yeah, the order's tough.
That took me a while. I was like, well, this should be up there. But then you're like, well, what about that movie? And then I've got these honorable mentions, I think, that are almost as long as the list itself. So it's been a nightmare, man.
Oh, poor Vito. For me, the first 10 were super easy. It's 10, boom, 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 boom. I know these. These are all my go-tos. It was the last 10 that was a little hard for me. And then I've right up until we were driving here and I was switching them all around still. So
yeah, I was switching mine around this afternoon, actually.
Yeah, I may switch it as we go too. I don't know. We'll see. How about you?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because there's movies that are not on my list that I kind of at first felt like, oh, they should totally be on my list. But then I thought of other ones and I'm like, well, I may not watch these movies as often, but they're major for me for one reason or another.
Gotcha.
But anyway, yeah, so what we're going to do with this is we're going to go around and it's going to be, we'll just go number 20. All 3 of us will list our number 20s, 19, 18, so on and so forth. We'll do it that way. And we'll just discuss each one as you bring it up. And I think that's the easiest way to do it rather than naming them all and then backtracking. We'll just discuss each of them. Sound good?
Let's do it.
Does that sound good to you? You don't have any say in it because it's already fucking edited and put out there, so deal with it. But all right, so with that, we got number 20. I'm going to enjoy using all these sound effect pads and everything. Vito, as always, it's tradition. We start with you. What is your number 20 favorite film of all time?
It's a movie from 2012 called VHS.
Oh.
Yeah, you've talked about that one before.
Yeah.
Wow, it's only number 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, because...
It's a newer movie, so you know.
Yeah, well, newer doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's just, I know you're such a huge fan of the VHS series.
Yeah. Especially the first two.
Yeah.
So for those of you who do not know, VHS is a found footage anthology horror film with about 5 or 6 short films that revolve around this wraparound story. Kind of like Creepshow. If you guys are familiar with Creepshow, it's kind of that same idea, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So a bunch of these people or these hoodlums are tasked with finding a VHS tape at this person's house. So they go into this house, breaking and entering, trying to find this, and they watch a bunch of VHS tapes, and those VHS tapes are like mini movies, and they're all based around horror themes, and it's incredibly done. And this movie pretty much kicked off my obsession with the found footage horror genre.
Oh,
Okay.
Now, I had known what found footage was before with Blair Witch and all that, McPherson tapes, but this is the movie that like solidified my obsession and love of the genre. So, has to be on the list.
that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, anybody that knows you knows that you are way into the found footage.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little bit, maybe.
Just a little bit. So that makes sense. Now, when did the first VHS come out?
This was 2012.
2012. Wow, it seems like it's older than that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking that that's such an older, like that came out like in the early 2000s or something. Maybe it's because it's called VHS, so it automatically
Right.
Yeah.
sounds old to me. All right, well, that's cool. That's a good choice. Megan, what's your number 20?
I went with, let me look, 2006 300 with Gerard Butler. That's where I first came to know him in all his amazing glory.
Oh boy,
Let's
here
just
we
be
go.
serious about this.
Are we going to see a theme here with this list? Is it just going to be a bunch of Megan's like heartthrob hunks?
There's a lot
That's
of
a
them
yes.
in there. Yes, there is.
Yeah, well,
It is what it is. I mean, let's be real. The costume design in this movie, or lack thereof, is amazing.
I was going to say the lack of it, I think, is what is making it amazing for you.
Yeah, I mean, those guys had to really work out to get it. They were, because I thought maybe they're CGI'd and stuff like that. Nope, they actually worked their asses off to get that fit.
wow.
They look amazing in that movie. Just saying.
Now, I have to admit, I've never watched this movie.
Really?
Yeah, I've never seen it either.
No, how it's filmed, like I don't even know how to describe
Yeah,
it, but how it's filmed it's amazing,
Mhm.
and the way the story's told, it's the King Xerxes and Leonidas from Sparta and stuff like who's Gerard Butler, his measly 300 and Xerxes' massive army from Persia.
Right.
They come together and it's told through Leonidas and his 300 and how they went and held off until the rest of them could get there and stuff.
Yeah.
It's an amazing story and it's told very well and it's visually very appealing. Not just talking about the guys. The whole thing it's amazing. I love this movie. And I'm not big on war movies and stuff
Right.
like that, but it's really good.
All right, so my number 20 is going back somewhat of a ways. It's before both of your time, let's put it that way. And it's
For your Sepicol
yeah, before my old Sepicol expired, yeah. Or was created, yeah. We're going back to 1974. It's a little John Carpenter movie called Dark Star.
Okay.
We know you love your Dark Star.
I love
Yeah.
Dark Star, man. Yeah, it's for those that don't know, Dark Star, it was Carpenter's directorial debut. It was basically like a student film. It started out as like a little indie student film thing, and then it got some legs, it got traction, and they ended up putting a little more money into it, got some investors, everything, and it turned into a full-fledged production. That being said, it still only cost them like $60,000 or something. And you could tell. But even, I'll tell you what, even for that $60,000, I think it's still like a pretty visually awesome movie. I mean, it's not Star Wars or anything, but it influenced Star Wars. I think it influenced a lot of things that came later. And it's basically a movie about this crew aboard a ship called the Dark Star. They've been on this 20-year mission to exterminate like unstable planets. They don't want they want to go through the galaxy and get rid of unstable planets that might explode or anything like that, so that they can colonize the good planets and not have to worry about some nearby planet fucking it all up for them. But this crew is like a bunch of hippies, basically. I mean, it was made in 1972 or whatever it was. They're these like hippies, and they've been in space isolated way too long, and it's funny. It's kind of sad. It's got kind of like a sad ending and all this stuff. The soundtrack is amazing. It's got a great soundtrack. Of course, it's John Carpenter that does it. Yeah, this is just a movie that I saw. My parents showed it to me back in, I don't know, 1978, something like that, when I was really, really little. And of course, by that point, I already knew Star Wars and Star Trek, and I kind of expected it to be like that, and it wasn't. It was definitely not that. It was over my head at the time. You know, it's one of those. I loved it as a kid. I thought I liked the funny parts of that balloon, that beach ball looking creature with the feet. I thought that whole sequence was hilarious and stuff. The bomb.
Yeah, the bomb's awesome.
The talking bomb. Yeah. Like that stuff was funny. But as I got older, I just appreciated this story more and more, and like what it was all about. And yeah, it's a great movie. To me, I mean, I know it's a cult classic, and the people that know about it generally respect it, but I feel like it doesn't get enough respect for what it was and what it meant at the time, you know? And there's been so many other movies that have come afterwards that people give a lot of credit to, that I'm like, yeah, but man, it all kind of goes back to Dark Star. So anyway, I know you like Dark Star.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm going
dude.
to have to check it out. You guys keep talking about it. I need to just sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would rent that from the library when I was a kid, so I loved it.
He loves his library rentals.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure a good,
Library made me the man I am today.
it's true. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of movies on this list that you're going to be like, I got that one from the
I
library.
think so.
Yeah. The old Niles Library. You made Vito what he is.
And they're still going strong, man. So.
Good. Yeah.
You kept him in business, it sounds
Probably.
like.
Support your libraries, folks.
Right?
You might think like, oh, who cares? Who needs libraries anymore? Oh, you never know. Just watch. If more people actually went to the library and read, you wouldn't all be so fucking stupid. You know? Well, not everybody, but you know who you are. You know. Moving on to 19. That was my 90s one. See, that was all like transition on like an episode of Martin or something. You know? It's like,
I love Martin.
Right?
it's like, what's going to happen now? Yep. Anyway, all right, moving on. 19. What is your 19, Vito?
Well, I wish I had a 1990s movie for you for this, but unfortunately, this came out in 2002.
Oh, you got all the recent ones on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one, Larry might know this one. It's called Cube 2 Hypercube.
Oh, yeah. I know this one.
This obviously is a sequel to Cube from 1997, I believe. The reason I put this one on is not that it's a better film than Cube. I just like the storyline better. Basically, I think about 6 or 7 people are stranded in this cube-like structure that's kind of like a maze. And they come to find out that it like warps reality and time moves differently, and there's like weird dimensions happening, and they're trapped and they don't know how to get out. And it's brilliantly done, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really confusing.
It is confusing.
That is a Vito movie.
Yep.
And what's cool about it is the cube itself, the room they're in, the main room they kind of are in, everything. It's not like your typical type of horror-ish type thing, because everything's very clean and bright and white and everything. You know, you're used to things being more dark and dungeony and looking like Saw and all that kind of shit. This is like the complete polar opposite of that, but it's still terrifying and it's still grim, but it's not, I don't know.
It's not like a gore fest horror film, you know? It's more psychological thriller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know me, I don't like gore horror movies and stuff, but I actually like got sucked into this one, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting concept with time and the way it's timey-wimey. It's
interesting. I
it's
might have to check that one out too.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's a good choice, man. I support that one. All right, Megan, what's your number 19?
I wish I had a 90s movie as well, but I don't. I have a 1988 movie
Close enough.
that we talk about often and we debate about and argue about all the time.
Oh,
and this is a movie called fucking Die Hard. The
Wow.
first one.
Die Hard made it into the top 20 of all time, huh?
Sure as fuck did. I mean, Bruce Willis, fucking Alan Rickman, Bonnie Bedelia. Come on. It's amazing. It's got amazing one-liners. It's got humor and romance and action and violence. It's got it all. I mean, what more can you ask for?
I don't think you can ask for more, actually.
You
I've just never seen the whole thing from beginning to end. So.
I know. You're not a big Bruce Willis guy
No,
either,
I'm not.
so
Isn't
kinda
that
takes it away
crazy?
from you. That's dumb, but
That's crazy. I mean, given like your genre, you love action movies and all that kind of stuff. Like that's your thing, man. And you're just like, Die Hard, eh.
I've seen the third one with Joe Pesci and Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay.
Right? I like
oh,
that
that's
one.
a good one too.
That was good.
That is a really good one.
Yeah.
That'd probably be, if I had to put them in order, that'd be my second choice.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
Die Hard with a Vengeance? Was that it? The
It
third one?
might be.
I don't know.
I don't remember. I've only seen the first Die Hard like many times, but 2 and 3 I've only seen I think maybe once or twice each at the most.
Because 2's the one in the airport, right?
I think so. I remember him lighting a trail of gasoline that explodes a plane. That has to be the
it
second
has to be
one,
the
right?
second one.
Don't they do that in every action movie? I mean, isn't that like
Hey, if it works,
Yeah.
you don't mess with it.
some tells me it doesn't actually work that way, so but it works in action
It works in
films.
the action movies.
All
Just
right.
like you shoot a car and it blows up.
All right.
That doesn't work that way either. But
All right.
I
well,
just love the hell out of this movie.
well, good.
It makes me happy. I love people being shot up and hung from chains and
Thrown off the
thrown off
Nakatomi Tower.
Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah.
Yep.
Poor old Hans
Gruber.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The cop in that movie cracks
Yeah,
me up.
he's
I
good.
love that guy.
Is
The
that
kid-
Reginald Wilson
Yep.
from
Yeah.
Family Matters?
Yeah.
It sure is.
I love that guy.
I love that guy. The kid in the limousine. I mean, it's got everything. I love it.
Okay. All right. Well,
Solid 19 right there.
I'm not going to argue with you. You thought I'd argue. I just argue that it's not a fucking Christmas
I
movie.
know.
Because it's not.
Yeah, okay. Whatever, man. What's your 19?
Well, unfortunately for all my 1990s intro bravado, this is nowhere near the 1990s. This is the oldest film on my list, and we're going all the way back to 1937.
Whoa.
A little RKO film called Stage Door. And I bet you guys have never even heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Nope. Tell
Well-
us, Larry, what is it?
So, giving you guys a little backstory here. So, back when I was like around 12 or 13 years old, you might remember the days when, like, on network television, on like ABC and stuff like that, at like 2 or 3 in the morning, there'd be like the late movie kind of thing. And it was usually something old,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I was just up late one night and bored. And starting in the days of me doing that, because like I do now, up all night kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even have cable yet, because this was probably, again, mid 80s, sometime in there. And this movie started coming on. I was like, oh, it's going to be some old
Lame shit.
grandma kind of thing, like grandparents thing. And I just saw the list they were showing the actors and actresses that are appearing in it. And it was like Katharine Hepburn, Ginger Rogers, Ann Miller, Eve Arden, Lucille Ball, like all these, Gail Patrick, like all these like big name stars from back then. And I was like, geez, I never knew there was a movie with all of them in that. Like, I never heard of this thing. Well, it turns out that this movie was made before most of them became like household names. Like Hepburn they'd all been around, Lucy had been around and stuff, but they weren't big stars. And this movie kind of ended up being like a springboard for them to get big, because like Hepburn was not a critic favorite at that point. Like her previous movies had really bombed really bad. And then she put in this like amazing performance in this movie. And that's what got her to like doing movies like Bringing Up Baby and like getting in the Spencer Tracy movies and stuff like that. So this was like an important movie for those actresses, but it's been kind of forgotten. And I watched it on a lark. I was just like, oh, well, see. It's really funny, and it basically deals with all these young aspiring actresses, like stage actresses, you know, all that kind of stuff. And they all live together in like a boarding house. And it's just basically, it's very realistic in a lot of ways of what it was like back then for them. It's like, it shows like a lot of it's got that quick talking, you know, 30s, 40s repartee going back and forth and everything. Lucy is amazing in it. It really touched me because it's one of those things that you never really think about, like the things that they had to go through. I mean, half the time these girls were going out on dates just so they could get fed because they were so poor. So they'd go out with these like this is where sugar daddies came from, you know, was they all had sugar daddies that would take them out. You're giving me this look like.
That's crazy.
What?
I should take advantage of that.
The sugar daddy
me
thing is
ideas here.
huge right now, man.
Oh,
it
boy.
really is.
Yeah, with the internet and stuff,
Yeah.
especially. But I mean, the thing is like these girls would have to go through. They'd have to, you know, and especially because it was a man's world and all that shit back then. Yeah, I know. It's deserving of that face that she just made, folks. If you can't see her, if you're just listening,
I rolled my eyes big time.
Yeah.
I need to go chase them down.
And there's a lot of that. So these poor girls were just like it's starving themselves, you know, to be skinny and just, you know, they're all friends, but there's like a competitiveness there. And some people are kind of backstabby and all this stuff. It's a really interesting movie. And it has like a bittersweet, sad ending to it that I was not expecting. It's just a great movie, and I think if people out there are into like oldies, you know, like that and stuff, because I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, God, I don't even know that movie. It's like, try to find it. It's really hard to find. I did finally get it on disc, on CD, not CD,
DVD?
on DVD. Yeah, one of those things. I don't even use that stuff anymore, so I forget. On DVD, I was able to find it, but it's tough to find. They show it every now and then on like Turner Classic Movies and stuff, but yeah, it's just, I mean, with that cast, you just can't go wrong. It's like those other old movies, whether it's White Christmas or any of those kind of things, where it's got a little bit of everything, you know. It's got some singing and dancing, a little lesser in this movie.
Okay.
But, you know, and then it's got your drama, it's got your comedy, it's got some slapsticky stuff and everything. It's really good. It kind of reminds me, I mean, later on in like the 80s, they did movies like A Chorus Line, which was based on a musical and stuff. The Stage Door is also based on a stage play thing. Mm-hmm. And just like with Chorus Line, where that deals more specifically with like dancer performers and stuff and showing like what they go through to have to get the role and how tough that life can be and everything. This is sort of like that as well. Mm-hmm. I actually love Chorus Line. That's a great movie too, but it's this just to me deserved to be in my top 20 because I'm always thinking about it, you know, like it comes up a lot of times, and it made me appreciate some of those actresses so much more. Because to me, by the time I was around, you know, Katharine Hepburn was just this old, you know, rambling lady kind of thing, all on Golden Pond and shit, and you know, this made me go, oh wow, yeah, she had some chops back in the day before she was that, you know. And Lucille Ball, is fucking awesome. So anyway. All right, so that's
Love
our
it.
19s.
Okay.
So moving on, we have 18.
That was pretty rocking.
That was more 80s, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of like A-Team, but it was 18. Fuck you. All right, moving on to number 18. Vito, what's your number 18?
Well, I've got a 90s movie.
Oh, now
Yeah,
he's got
now I got the
Sure, you had to fuck me all up there.
This is from 1993, which was a
Okay.
good year. This one is called The Philadelphia Experiment 2.
2. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was going to be, I'm like, this could be a sequel.
Yeah.
Don't Vito, it's a sequel. All right, well, lay it on us.
So this is one of those movies where I knew what the Philadelphia Experiment was because I actually like researched it as a kid. and I was like obsessed with it.
Of course.
Of course you did.
And this movie came out. I was
Library.
like, oh wow, they made a movie, like a sequel to the movie and the story. I was like, I wonder what they're going to do this time. And well, what they did is they transport a stealth fighter jet to Nazi Germany by mistake. The Nazis get it, and the Nazis win World War II and take over the entire world
Oh boy.
because of this action. And that's basically the premise of the movie. So it picks up with the soldier who was part of the original experiment.
Right.
Now he's older, he has a son, and the government is still doing experiments. And every time they do a research or an experiment with that technology, he gets adversely affected. And this time they went too far, and he also gets transported into this weird alternate reality where the Nazis won World War II, and now everything's German, and it's crazy. And he's got to find a way to fix it and get his son back.
Everybody just listens to Rammstein and the Scorpions. Okay.
Yeah. So there's like this underground faction that's trying to rebel, and they don't know what's going on, and he teams up with them, and he tells them, no, this isn't right. This isn't what really happened, and they help him go back in time to fix everything. And it's an incredible story, and I love the plot because it involves time travel,
Right.
stealth
That's another
bombers.
timey-wimey one for you.
Yeah, and World War II. So what can you not love about it?
Now, I'm trying to remember about this one. Who stars in this? Do you remember?
No names that you would know.
No.
Yeah.
I know. Wasn't Michael Pare in one of them?
He was in the original
in the original
with
one.
Nancy Allen.
Okay, so that's the one I've seen then.
Yes. Very few people have seen the second one.
I should have known. Yeah, I really should have kind of guessed.
Yeah, the original was like 84 or something.
Yeah.
And this was, like 9 years later or whatever. But I think this is the superior film.
Hey, I can't say anything because the one I'm going to come up with in a minute is a sequel as well.
Oh,
and it's
good.
also one that happens 9 years later.
Oh.
So we got a little synchronicity going on here. That's a rarity on this show. But all right, cool. Yeah, that's another one that makes sense for you. All right, Megan.
Vito all over it.
Yep.
I also did not go with an 80s movie
Okay.
or anything. Totally blew it there. I went instead with 2002's Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, okay. That's a cool choice.
Yeah. I love Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
I mean, who doesn't? He's a freaking amazing actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been gypped, but still makes great films. And then you put him with Tom Hanks and Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
To name a few. There's a lot of big name actors in this movie. It is so good. I love the cat and mouse chase they do, all over the freaking globe.
For years.
For
yeah, it
years,
goes on
yeah.
and on.
They develop this admiration for each other,
Yeah.
but they still have to chase it and, continue this cat and mouse game,
Right.
even though they're like friends, but they're enemies. They're frenemies.
Right.
kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just a fun movie. I really enjoy the hell out of this.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that one again for a while now. It's such an interesting movie, and is it a true story?
Yes, it's based off a true story.
Yeah, because I've heard that that's a true story. It feels like it couldn't be.
Right.
Like you watch it,
So
you're like, how the
far-fetched. How did he get away with doing that?
like he just
Really?
decides to become an airline pilot.
I'll be a pilot now. What?
He just walks in, puts it on. He's like, okay, and it's like, think about that.
Forge all this money, have this big factory to forge all this money.
Right.
Into it? Really?
Right.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently it worked.
But it is a fascinating story and everything. Yeah, Tom Hanks and Leo are just that's a good pair.
That's a good team up.
They need to bring them back.
I agree.
I'd like to see them do something again. Now that's a solid choice, man. I'm down with that. My number 18 is, like I said, it's a sequel, but mine is an 80s movie, motherfuckers. See? I lined that
He
shit up.
set us up
perfect.
on purpose.
Mine is a movie from 1984. And it's a cast of big names at the time. It's Roy Scheider, John Lithgow, Helen Mirren, Bob Balaban, and Vito's nodding his head. He knows what I'm talking
He's like,
about.
Oh, yeah.
It is a sequel known as 2010, The Year We Make Contact. Now, some people are going to say, well, dude, if you have 2010 on here, you better have 2001 Space Odyssey somewhere else in your top 20. And spoiler alert, I do
don't.
not.
Wow.
No.
Okay.
Now, I love 2001. It's a great movie in its own right. It's not a top 20 movie for me. And as much as I acknowledge how important it is, culturally and in terms of filmmaking and stuff. It's a tough watch, man. Like I have to really be in the mood for 2001. 2010 is a whole other story. Like, I mean, literally, but it's like, for me, like I can listen and watch that movie all the time. I can absorb that movie over and over again, and I still get goosebumps. I just watched it again not long ago, and it's still fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's great, man.
And basically, for those that don't know, I don't want to say too much about it because if you haven't seen it, I really want you to see it because it's got a great ending. But it follows up 9 years later. It follows up the events of what happened with the USS Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
It's still just sitting out there in space near Jupiter. HAL 9000 has been disabled or whatever. So Roy Scheider is the guy who had sent them up on the mission in the first place. He ends up secretly being approached by the Russians because at this point, the Russians and the U.S. are like on the verge of war. This was the 1980s, so it was that whole...
It's the Red Scare.
Yes, exactly. It was that whole kind of thing. So they secretly work together, the scientists of the two countries work together to go up there jointly and try to figure out what's going on with Discovery and HAL, as well as investigate the fact that they are now finding new evidence of more monoliths. Not because at that point they had only seen the monolith that was on the moon.
On Tycho, yeah.
Right.
There's
So
some in California,
Romania.
yeah, those
Arizona, right?
not those
Not-
monoliths.
oh, okay.
No,
All right.
no.
Sorry.
No. Yeah, not those monoliths. So they go up and they're investigating that, and yeah, there's some crazy shit going on. And let's just say it has an incredible ending. I think it's incredible.
It's definitely incredible.
Yeah.
It's out of this world. Incredible.
Literally.
It's out of this world crazy. It's just, I've always been fascinated with this kind of stuff. I've always been fascinated with Jupiter. I've talked about that before on this show. This just really enhanced it. And it's got things that even now I read articles and stuff where people debate about like, what would happen if the events that happened in this movie happened in real life? Like, what would that mean for life and for the solar system and stuff? And a lot of debate. And it's just acted really well. It's got suspense. It's not as slow and drawn out, and it's not as weird. A lot of people detract from this movie because they don't like the fact that this kind of explains what happened. They liked the ambiguous, weird, interpret it as you will ending of 2001. And I understand that. I get the allure of that, but I love where they went with it. I think it's great. So,
And the book is incredible.
yeah, and the book's a little different.
It is a little bit different.
A little bit different from the movie, but enough similarities there to, if you like the movie, I don't think you're going to be disappointed by the book and vice versa. It's close enough. So, yeah, this is just one of my favorite films of all time. Like I said, I watched it recently and I still got giddy about it. And I was like, yeah, this is going on the list, man. So there you go.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Well, we only got a couple more from the first batch here, so we're moving on to number 17.
So fancy.
Number 17. First up, Vito, you go.
So I've got an 80s movie here.
Okay.
1987 to be exact.
Oh.
And it's a comedy.
Oh.
First comedy on the list?
Yeah.
Well, it's debatable, I guess, for some people.
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
Now I'm scared.
No, I'm talking about the other movies, if they're comedies or not, 'cause some people might think they're pretty
I
terrible.
see. Okay.
But this movie is called Spaceballs, which you cannot deny is a flat-out comedy.
Well, yeah, of course.
One of the greatest comedies of all time.
Well, it's created by one of the greatest comedy inventors, writers of all time, Mel Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I haven't seen it
fun.
in a while.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, man.
Been a
This, ever since I was a kid, another library rental was Spaceballs. You know, I don't think I had seen Star Wars at that point before I saw this movie, so I didn't
Oh,
really.
wow.
Yeah, I didn't really get a lot of the jokes.
Yeah, I think I saw it backwards too, actually.
Right?
You'd mention it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. This is dumb. In a good way.
Leave it to the two of you to have seen Spaceballs before you saw Star Wars. Yeah, that kind of robs you of a lot of the humor.
Yeah.
But it's still funny as hell. I mean, I love yogurt. I love Dot. I don't like actual yogurt. I think actual yogurt is fucking disgusting. But the character of yogurt is great.
And what about Barf?
Love Barf. Barf Holomill. He's a mog. He's his own best friend. I mean, come on.
I mean, this one's a little bit better than the other ones, but the problem with all those Mel Brooks movies is the humor in a lot of it is a little
Risque.
yeah, by
Inappropriate?
today's standards, yeah. Yeah. No, my favorite scene is the combing the desert scene.
Oh, yeah.
That cracks me the fuck up every time.
It's Tim Russ in that scene from Star Trek Voyager. He played Tuvok.
Right.
And from other movies like Eve of Destruction.
Yeah.
He played a minor role in Eve of Destruction with Gregory Hines.
Right.
But
Oh man.
most people know him from Star Trek Voyager.
Wasn't he the one that died? Didn't she kill him? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
You're thinking about Tuvix, which was a combination of Tuvok and Neelix, which there was a transporter malfunction.
Oh.
And they ended up killing Tuvix.
Did she cry when that happened too?
No, Megan. See, this was past the 6 episodes that you allegedly saw where she cried at every scene.
Oh, I'm taping it. I'm
Oh
going to
my
fucking show you
God,
guys.
Here we go again. Dude, can we get in touch? Can we get in touch with 2 Notes and Line 6 and be like, you need to put together your 2 Notes like IR technology for guitar sims with Line 6 Helix, put it together and call it Tuvix. And they'll be like, you're a fucking dork. Go away.
I bet that would sell though.
We're calling security.
Probably would.
Just the Tuvix thing.
Yeah.
But here's the whole thing. Here's the thing is you plug it in and it dies. Yeah, that's not going to go over well. But all right, yeah, that's a solid choice. I wasn't expecting that one. All right.
No, I didn't think you were
Spaceballs.
too big on comedies.
There's some comedies I'm totally big on, and Spaceballs is one of them.
All right.
Yeah.
One of the rarities.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right, that one did not go from suck to blow.
No, it didn't.
I'll give you that one. That was no Mega Maid. All right. Mega Megan. What's your number 17?
I went with 2009 Star Trek.
Oh,
The new
okay.
Kelvin timeline.
Yeah, the Kelvin timeline.
Yeah.
Well, gee, do we have to ask
mean-
why?
You really didn't think Chris Pine was going to make my list? That's dumb.
Yeah.
And it's just the whole cast is amazing. I think they did an amazing job. Chris Pine did great as Captain Kirk. Zachary Quinto,
Yeah.
come on. Carl Urban, I loved him as Bones. Perfect. Zoe Zadano.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody. They filled the roles perfectly.
I think so. A lot of people don't agree with us on that.
Yeah, that's dumb. I get the lens flares. It didn't bother me.
Who cares about the
Who
lens
cares?
flares? I mean, I
So-
could see if it was like lens flares in completely inappropriate like
Times
spots or
and stuff,
something.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I like J.J. Abrams and his stupid lens flares. So whatever.
People just want to pick on them. You know, they just need to pick on something. It's like, no, I love the Kelvin timeline stuff. I'm disappointed to hear that it's probably done.
Ixnay, yeah. I love the backstory and how our favorite characters that we grew to love came together in the first place.
Right. Yeah, because we'd heard stories, but we never got to see it.
Right. So I really, I was like, how are they going to do this? It's a different timeline, or I don't understand. And the way it came together, I just adore this movie.
Yep.
And it kicked off all the other ones, which I also love.
Yep.
But that's the start of it all. So That's my number, whatever.
17, yeah. Now that, none of those made my top 20.
Really?
Yeah, spoiler alert. But if I was going to pick one, I would have picked Beyond.
Really?
I love Beyond. I thought that movie's so fucking good. Yeah, that one is I liked it when I first saw it, and then I've watched it more times, and every time I've watched it, like, it's gotten to the point where I'm like, fuck, this is one of my favorite Star Trek movies, period.
Wow.
So good. Tons of great action and great characters. Man, yeah. So
Spoiler alert, this is not my only Star Trek movie on my list.
no, that's all right. We got room for that around here.
We sure do.
Awesome. Okay. Well, my number 17 is nothing like your guys' movies, although mine is a 1980s movie. It is actually a movie from 1980, and I can probably guarantee that neither one of you have ever seen it. That's going to be my list. It's going to be like Larry's picking all these.
Yeah, you're picking all these old shit movies.
Yeah, well, it's not shit, Megan.
Old as shit. Sorry, I left the as out.
Okay, kind of like me. Old as shit. Yeah. It is a 1980 movie called Foxes. Now, this is kind of...
It was a documentary.
No. No. It's a drama. It's kind of it's like a I guess you could call it a teen drama because it centers around these 4 teenage girls, but
Is that why they're foxes?
yeah, it's a stupid name, to be honest with you, for the movie, because they're not like, that's not who they are really. They're 4 very like different girls, but they're best friends. They're supposed to be like seniors in high school, living in Southern California, but it's not like your typical teen romp kind of thing. Like, this is like a very serious movie, and Jodie Foster plays the lead role. And she lives with her mom, who's played by Sally Kellerman. And her mom is like a young mom, you know, I'm doing air quotes here. Like, she's like a young mom. She's like one of those where she's like, oh, you know, I wish I was still young and everything, but I'm still cool and hip and, you know, smokes pot and all that horse shit and everything. And Jodie Foster ends up almost kind of having to be like the responsible one. You know, like, she's more like the maturing too quick kind of person, you know. She's sort of the motherly figure out of the group of girls. And then her best friend is Annie, who's played by Sherry Curie, who was the lead singer of the Runaways.
Okay.
Joan Jett and Lita Ford's old band. Yeah, after
Run. No.
not Run Away. No.
Oh. Okay.
No. Cherry Bomb, you know Cherry Bomb? Cherry Bomb.
Cherry Bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's Sherry
Okay.
Curie.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was like her acting. This was like her acting debut and everything. And she's like this troubled kid that she parties too much. She always hooks up with all these bad guys and stuff. Her dad's like this abusive cop that's always, you know, kind of beating on her, and you know, and it's just making her worse. You know, it's like she's rebelling harder because of that. And Jodie Foster is like always kind of trying to look out for her. There's another friend that's like more like the ditzy, sort of like more spoiled girl that just is like boy crazy and all that kind of stuff. And then the fourth is like the nerdy girl who like has overly protective parents, and she's actually secretly having this relationship that even her friends don't know about with a much older guy who's played by Randy Quaid, of all things.
God.
He's great in it. He's great in it. It's not a big role. No, he's a good guy in it and everything. He actually plays like a really decent guy. Like, he won't, like, if people at home are shuddering like, oh, this older guy, old crusty old Randy Quaid with his teen. But his whole thing is like, he doesn't want to, like, he's in love with her, but he like doesn't want to touch her because she's only.
You guys will go to jail.
Well, back then, probably not. I mean, she's supposed to be like 17 or something like that, you know, so it's close enough. But
Marion age.
well, that kind of becomes a thing and everything.
Okay.
But he's like a decent, like, he like kind of keeps, you know, trying to be decent about it and stuff. And I don't know. It just deals. Scott Baio is in it. He plays like their friend. Like,
Is he the one that's going to bring this movie up to like stardom here or something? Is that...
Hey, man, you know, these were big names at the time. Like, people like Jodie Foster. Well, she's still a big name. Jodie Foster, Scott Baio, you know, stuff like that. Like Laura Dern's in it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really cool movie it's a more realistic portrait of what it was like, what it's like for those teenagers at that time and stuff. Because it shows them going through like family problems, school problems, drug problems, relationship problems. And it's, like I said, it's not colored the same way a lot of other teen movies and stuff are or were, where it's like got this happy ending and, blah, blah, and everything works out real conveniently and all this kind of, it's not that at all.
Sounds like the facts of life.
Yeah, man, because, the Facts of Life kind of gets written off a lot of times for being like that. But if you ever really watch Facts of Life,
heavy core shit.
Holy fuck, there's some serious shit on that show. And I didn't remember it that way until I started watching it again as an adult. And I was like, oh my God, like they're talking about like
pregnancy and drugs,
bisexuality and suicide and all this stuff. And this was in like the first season. And I was like, holy shit, man, Mrs. Garrett had some heavy shit to deal with. Blair, fuck.
Yeah.
Man. But anyway, no, I mean, and this is way more serious than that even. And then the interesting thing about this movie, I think one of the underlying concepts of this movie is that it shows how the teenagers look at their viewpoint on these events in life and then the differences of how the parents view things. And yeah, it shows the teenagers like recklessness and naivete and everything about it, but it also shows like the parents like lack of understanding, how they're kind of like out of touch, world weary. It's especially between Sally Kellerman and Jodie Foster. Like, it's a really interesting dichotomy that goes on there. It's amazing movie. This was done by Casablanca Records and Filmworks, who did, that's the record label for Kiss back in the day. And cool, like rock, early proto glam metal bands like Angel, and they appear in the movie and stuff. And I saw this movie when I was like 8 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was always watching these like heady movies that were way, way beyond, like I shouldn't have, like people that aren't at least like 14, 15 years old should have probably been watching this movie. I watched it by myself when I was 8. But it made like this big impression on me, like it was interesting. So it helped mature me, I guess, in my outlook on things. Plus, I thought Sherry Carey was so fucking hot, man.
So you can't say anything to me.
Oh, no. I mean, I get, because I was like, I had heard of the Runaways and stuff. I knew who Joan Jett was. I'd already seen Joan Jett in concert by that point and everything. So when I realized it was like, oh, this is a movie with her, and I kind of knew who Jodie Foster was and stuff, and fucking Chachi's in it. So I was like, why? But it wasn't, I was like, whoa, this is a dark ass movie, man. What am I watching? Anyway, it's a fucking wonderful film. Again, it's another one that's kind of hard to find, a little obscure and everything. But if this sounds like something that rings a bell for you, check it out. I think it's worth it. We are down to the last pick for this episode, at least. This is for the first batch. So we are at number 16. Explode. I added my own sound effect.
Don't do that anymore.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize. All right, Vito, what is your number 16?
Well, we're going back to the 2000s for this one.
Oh, okay.
Specifically 2002's Ghost Ship.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Good old Ghost Ship.
Good old Ghost Ship. I brought this up on the show probably
500 times.
500.
We know you love your Ghost Ship.
I do. And this isn't listed on a lot of people's favorite horror movies, but it is for me. I immediately fell in love with this when I saw it. I just love the idea of a ship being haunted by spirits and then going through the ocean in the middle of nowhere until it gathers more souls.
Yeah, that's cool.
Is this the one we met Carl Urban and you're like, I loved you in Ghost Ship?
Yes. And he's like,
oh,
cool
thanks.
kid. See you later.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he didn't seem that enthused that I like Ghost Ship, I guess.
He probably thought you were joking.
Maybe.
He probably was like, oh, this guy's taking a dig at me
What
for
a
being a
dick.
Ghost Ship. And it's like, no.
Carl, I wasn't, man. I swear. It's
He really loves Ghost Ship. Yeah.
Talked about the entire time in line. It's like, I'm going to tell him. Love Ghost Ship. I'm like, okay.
Then I told him, and then he didn't really care. So.
It's like, all right, cool, bro. It's like I'm talking to a chick here, man.
Beat it, boy.
Take your ghost ship and beat it, Baldy. Come here, Blondie. Beat it, Baldy. That's not how it went down, but that would have been funny if it had. But yeah, I mean, this movie has the infamous beheading scene.
One of my favorite kills of all time on a horror film, man. That wire snap is just pure genius, man. Even though Mythbusters busted it, it can't actually happen, unfortunately. But it's just, when you see it the first time, you're like, holy shit. Wow.
Here's the thing. I love the idea that there's so many of you fools out there that needed to have that myth busted, because the first time I saw it, I said, there's no empirical way that could actually happen. I didn't need fucking Mythbusters. I didn't need Jamie to go, this actually can't happen. Really? Dude.
What, a high-tension wire cutting through something? I mean, it seems plausible.
But not like it, no. Yeah, it happens, but not like that.
Sounds plausible to me. I didn't see
right?
it, but...
Oh,
that's what they always say, because like you're towing something, you don't get between that because it can really fuck you up.
Oh, sure, but you have to. It literally kills like everybody.
Oh,
You're going through bone, cartilage, muscle. It doesn't care. It just goes
just
through
one thing. It goes in. It makes a hole. It goes out for like 5 minutes. Some shit.
It's doing figure eights and twisty twos and shit. You're like, wow. I guess. I mean.
I gotta see this now.
Vito and his implausible deaths. He just loves them. Only thing that would have been better would have been if that wire was covered in some sort of like acid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like slashed them right down the middle.
Right. Yeah.
And then slice them down the middle.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you would have ticked all the Vito boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, would have sliced them this way and then come back up and.
That's why this is only number 16.
See, you done fucked up. The makers of Ghost Ship. You could have got it right. But you only made it to 16. But it's technically number 1 in this episode.
I guess,
So still ranks high.
Yeah.
But seriously, go watch it if you haven't already, because it's really good.
All right, Megan. What is your number 16?
I went with 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right.
The first one.
The first one.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's again, I always get stuck. I know you're a sequel man, but I always get stuck on the first ones because this is where I met everybody and fell in love with these characters.
Right.
I mean, I love Chris Pratt, whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah.
And Zoe Saldana again.
Yeah.
Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
I just love this cast and
Rocket
their whole
and Groot.
dichotomy of their ragtag team of band of whatever they are, that they're always fighting amongst each other, but they're there for each other when it comes down to it. And the comedy in it just says Megan all over it.
It does. It is definitely some Megan type comedy. I'll give you that for sure.
And the music's amazing in it.
Well, the music is fucking amazing in it. I'll give you that too.
Yeah, so I just adore this movie.
I do too. I love it.
I love them all, but
I was gonna say I love it, but for me, I would have gone with the sequel too. That's just one of my favorites. That movie's so fucking awesome. So that's a good choice.
Thank you.
Is that your only Marvel movie on the list? Do you want to spoil that, or is there any others?
I believe it is my only Marvel movie.
Wow.
I really enjoy them all, but that's the one I think I'd go to the most for now.
Okay.
I may totally change my mind in about 10 minutes.
That's true. I know that feeling. Well, it's fitting that you chose that, and we didn't even plan it this way, because my number 16 is, spoiler here, the only Marvel movie on my list.
Oh, that is surprising.
Yeah, you would probably think, as big of a fan as I am of
all
that.
20 would be Marvel.
Well, that's the see, and that's the problem, is because there's a lot of these things when you talk about Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, blah blah blah. It's like I could make a list of just that, but we have,
And we have, yes.
So that's why I'm like, okay, for this I have to think about
Pick and choose.
Yeah, like picking some other things and stuff. So yeah, and surprisingly, Marvel didn't rank higher in my top 20 than this, but Well, again, once I get
We'll see.
to my other movies, especially from 15 on down, those are movies that really mean a lot to me and have made me who I am. But number 16 is a 2019 film known as Avengers Endgame. Now, it was really, really, really fucking hard choosing between Infinity War and Endgame. Because truthfully, folks, to me, it's one movie, but it's not. It's technically not, so I can't cheat. I was like, I could make it a tie. I didn't do any ties on my list this time. I'm like, no, I'm just going to keep it. When it comes down to it, as much as I might like Infinity War and maybe be more prone to watch Infinity War more frequently than Endgame, that whole last hour of Endgame is just it's some of the best fucking movie making I've ever seen. And I know people bag on it, and we've talked about it when we reviewed this movie, when we talked about it and everything. But that fucking final battle, it's like, especially if you're a lifelong nerd like I am for Marvel stuff, that whole ending of that movie, it was like, oh my God, I'm going to get everything fulfilled here. Like,
Literally everything.
I've wanted to see this kind of like battle happen, and I mean, you literally see all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe fighting together.
Mm-hmm.
It just thinking about it's making me like tingly and stuff. And just the way they chose to end it, and heartbreaking as that is. And and I mean, this is a movie that, like, even though it technically has a good ending, it's like there was a heavy fucking price paid throughout this movie. We lose a lot of very beloved characters and stuff in this movie. I mean, I probably could spoil it, but just in case there's some fucking fucknut that's like, I haven't seen it yet. It's like, dude, come on, man. So I won't say specifically what happens, but yeah, it's so good, man. I watched it again just recently, a couple of weeks ago. I watched it. And even the scene when they go back in time to try and get the stones and all that, and when Tony meets Howard Stark, and I was like, this is so good. This is so fucking good. Not even good by superhero movie standards. This is just fucking really, really good. Well written, well acted. The biggest names out there right now, pretty much, just about. I just love the fuck out of this movie. And it's really hard because, like I said, Infinity War could have been in there. Captain America, Winter Soldier could have been in there.
I was just going to say, Winter Soldier, I'm really shocked.
Yeah, I know. And if I wouldn't have been putting that self-imposed kind of limit on myself because of the other movies that I really felt needed to be on this list, Winter Soldier would have been in there. Infinity War would have been in there. But I limited myself to this one. Mm-hmm. And, on The Simpsons, when Moe's talking about the mechanical bull, it's like, well, it was either getting cable or a mechanical bull. I made my choice, and I stand by it. So, that's my choice, and I stand by it.
All right.
Avengers Endgame. And that's it.
That's it. We made it.
We made it. We made it through the first 5.
No changing our minds now.
No, it is what it is.
It's in stone.
So then moving on to, 15 through 11 will be the next video. These are some biggies for me. These are some real big ones for me. I don't know about you guys. How do you give a little teaser to everybody? We don't have to say what they are, but how do you feel about your next batch?
I got some heavy hitters.
Vito?
I think people would be like, why the hell did you put those on your list? But
it's Vito.
Yeah, but there's some that people are like, oh yeah, that definitely belongs where it belongs. So
okay,
we'll see.
I was gonna say, well, like when it comes to you, there's gonna be some people out there that are gonna be like, why did you put any of those on your list? Knowing some of your
those movies define me.
Well, exactly, and
that's the whole idea.
That's the whole idea of this. So, yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back very soon. Sometime, couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks or so. Just keep checking back. In the meantime, we want you to let us know what your top 20 movies are, or You can do it like we've been doing it. If you want to just let us know here in the comments and stuff, you want to tell us your 20 through 16, save the next 5 for the next video, that's fine too. Because, we might tally some of that up at the very end and see, like, when we get to our final 5, the 5 through 1, maybe we'll do like a little tally and see what, how it compares.
See what we see.
Exactly. So
maybe
we'll
have a little something extra with it.
Yeah, we might. We just might. We just might. Now you're thinking.
I know.
Now you're cooking with gas, Megan. Woo! All right. See, that's Megan's transition music. She's like, me. Right?
No.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, we'll be back soon with 15 through 11. Thanks for watching Geeking Poetic. See you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Explode. Boom.